You are correct. We do have a special guest, folks. My name is Stokes, as you guys know, but we got an old friend here. Emzo, how are you doing, my man?
Good, good. It's been a while.
It has indeed.
Obviously, this is not ideal circumstances, but it is good to see North America still kicking. Obviously, that's where I'm from as well, so representing and enjoying the game so far. Obviously, been enjoying it from the sidelines for a while, but looking forward to being on the field, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, the circumstances kind of poor, but I've got to be honest with you, man. It's nice to have you here. It's nice to see you again. I haven't seen you
Likewise.
since, I can't even, 2019, I think,
Right.
Tokoname, Japan. It has been a very long time, folks, and we haven't casted it even longer, so it's going to be quite a bit of fun, but we got a pretty good game on the docket. It's going to be XSET versus TSM FTX. We got to say the full thing now.
Right, TSM FTX, yeah.
So how you feeling about it? What's going on here?
I mean, I'm hoping TSM have kind of figured out where they've got the bumps in the road and going to put up a good game. But if they do, that might be much harder for XSET. So this might be a rough game. I mean, we just saw a pretty one-sided game last game, right? And I'm hoping that will be the case. I mean, you've got the XSET team all the way at the bottom. They're fighting to stay out of relegations. TSM's fighting to try and guarantee their spot in Sweden. So both of them actually have skin in the game in this match. So it's going to be, I think, pretty good between these two in terms of at least putting up effort. Whether or not that effort pays off, I mean, might just be up to Prod to get those plants down to secure at least the rounds, if not kills, you know?
Absolutely. But, folks, obviously we have our community poll for today, and we had to make them fun. So let's get into it. Who is the king of bad or dad jokes? Is it Intero or Emzo? Make sure you guys go to all of our social medias at R6 Esports NA on Instagram as well as Twitter, and vote inside of those. You can also vote inside of the chat as well. But, Emzo, do you have anything to say about this?
I think if Intero beats me to having a kid first, he might be able to win, but otherwise, I don't know. I think I still got it. You know, he could be my son. I'll let him sit him on my lap and spank him. You know?
There you go. I think you just got the tenure. I think that's what it is.
It's
you know, he had to build it up over the years of his bad jokes. You started right out the gate.
He had to
season
bribe his way up to the top.
Exactly. Yeah. What else would you expect from him? Oh my gosh, Parker. But guys, we will stop it all now. All the fun stops, folks. It's TSM versus XSET. Let's get right into it here on Chalet.
Should be good here, as Chalet is quite the interesting map these days.
Indeed.
What will the bands be, though?
Honestly, I don't know. I think we're going to have to wait and see what they're going to be. XSET is obviously going to have our outside bands. TSM will have the inside. XSET will be removing Flores initially, which is a big ban that we see very often now to try and deal with those shield setups.
It makes sense. I mean, Flores has gotten a decent amount of bans over the season. It usually depends on team preference, I think, but it's not fun to deal with those little cars. Ying, Candel's also super not fun to deal with, especially in those enclosed spaces like the garage, wine cellar, a lot of these tight rooms. You definitely don't want to have that coming in charging, especially with a lot of outside access on this map to the rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Ying's someone that just thrives inside of congestion inside of the site. Those Candelas can really have a serious impact on that entry and allowing you to look for some of those big kills. Malusi also going to get switched out here. She'll be banned away alongside the Mira. Malusi, not one that we see very often, but more than likely a plan put into place from TSM. Obviously, we've seen Malusi get changed up recently. Also, just to let you guys know, we're actually not playing on the active build. We were playing on the last build instead because we had some issues, but just to let you guys know, those changes haven't been implemented just yet. She will still have that nitro cell if you guys do see her throughout the day, but obviously not right now. Just wanted to make note of that for you guys so you guys weren't confused later on, but either way, those Malusis being banned away, that's going to make it to where they can't have those Banshees and allow entry into some of those close to reach places a little bit easier. That's the biggest thing, especially around piano upstairs.
And that's what I think. When I see a ban like that, I'm anticipating more aggressive pushes into sites, or hoping to at least get aggressive early map control. And that Jackal pick there also speaks to that, right? They want to be able to get in as quick as they can, not depend on drones always making it in, because drones get shot pretty frequently. Not to mention Mozzie can be brought and is being brought by NVK. That's a lot of work to get in. So, you know, you see Yana brought most of the time to kind of bring that entry, but those holograms get shot, whereas you can't do anything about it with the footprints being tracked. So I think it's a good pick. The Finka rush potentially coming out as well from the Finka play does speak to that quick entry as well.
Oh, we actually got some changes with Finka recently. You want to hear about this? They gave her frag grenades.
Always. Gotta give them back.
Of course, you gotta give them frag
Take
grenades.
backs.
Exactly. so it's allowed her to be worked in a little bit more, as well as they changed up the adrenal surge, where you actually keep the health now. That's the biggest thing. So on top of that, you can overheal still, but you actually maintain the health instead of it dwindling over time like it used to. So it still has all the other aspects of it. You can still pick people up around the map, but you get that health, and she also has frag grenades. So it's easier to work her in now, whereas once upon a time, it really wasn't.
Right. Well, hopefully they'll add a buff at some point to where you can see rainbows as well when you're boosted. Just bring in a little bit of that rainbows magic. But it is definitely good for a quick entry, especially when you've got the Melusi gone. You don't have to worry about the Banshees slowing that speed, right? Because that is a good counter in some ways to the Adrenal Burst.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like how we've seen teams try and pick this up pretty often recently. Merc actually has been playing it a lot for TSM. But besides that, with those frag grenades, it's just something that we've seen time and time again, and we're going to see it here for TSM as well. We made note of the amount of frag grenades that were being carried on Cafe the last time. This time around, though, for TSM's offense, they're going to be carrying 4 of those frags, and a lot of utility to go around that to burn out some of these hard-to-reach spaces, especially these ADSs. But as we know, TSM actually have to end up pushing down into the basement, currently prioritizing these stairwells. Want to make sure that XSET have no opportunity to try and escape, although NVK currently upstairs inside a piano.
It's looking pretty good for this entry. They've taken no damage on the attack. They've done damage to both Filthy, Razor, and NVK, and they've still got 2 footprint trackers on Jackal to go in. So they're in a great position on this entry. They're taking a lot of map control, as you said, forcing the defenders back towards site. Just overall, good position. They've got grenades left to work with. Sledging open the floor as well. They didn't even necessarily buck for that, so they can open up just right above the site. Not looking good for XSET.
Always a difficult spot to try and sit in, especially these slow-moving areas. Always very grueling when it comes down to it, especially some of the angles that will need to be adopted from XSET to try and make this go off without a hitch, but it's going to pop off here as Prod has adopted that angle at the back of Wine Cellar. Merc not ready for that, and Bolo will fall as well to Filthy with that SMG-11. It's looking good out the gate here for XSET as they've stunted TSM, but just wait here and have a battle back momentarily, especially with the clutch god Chalet in play still, but obviously Stage 3 has not been the best for him. We're hoping to see him bounce back here on this Chalet and start having some heavy influence for this TSM FTX squad. Still currently sitting outside of the main garage door. There's not too much of a threat going on to XSET on the back end. They'll have to worry about Geo possibly working his way into blue, but they have the BP there to try and counter that out. But actually, it's going to be simply them oversighting this area to make sure that no one can try and push forward and stop Chalet from planning. And he's actually going to get it down, but it's going to be up to Achieved. He's got literally 1 HP. Any bullet can possibly put him to his grave, but now it's going to be the 1 versus 5 to try and clutch this up. They'll at least be able to watch over the case from upstairs. He's waiting on any of these rotations. The other beauty of this is Prod is the only one with full HP. They have to stack. They have to try and push. Prod is going to get on top of this as they try and take control over this area. And how many can Achieved get? He gets 1. He gets 2, but he can't try and get the last set. XSET, they play it out perfectly. Make sure to get Prod on that case and then push everyone upstairs to try and deal with Achieved. Very nicely done. It's going to give them their first round.
I think had Chalet been able to live through that plant and get outside the garage, that might have been a much different ending. But at the end of the day, TSM were great in the entry. They were great at getting control early and getting set up. But the problem is, all that damage they didn't get any kills from that. So they didn't have any man advantage for the actual push. Started pushing into angles that XSET had set up, was able to get some pre-fires. And then once they eliminated the 2 members of TSM, it looked like TSM were having to scramble to adapt. Chal was waiting for his calls, trying to figure out, okay, are you ready for me? Are you ready for me, Achieved? Just goes to make the plant anyways. Achieved a little bit late on that grenade throw. Still, it was a great play, but he wasn't set up to throw the grenade and then get back on the angle above. And just too many men left.
Yeah, too many men. 50 Cent once said many, 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 many men.
Right.
They wish death on him, but they eventually got him. It came down to it. But either way, for TSM, I completely agree with you in that opener. The biggest thing for me going down in those last dying moments is that TSM's lack of info as to what was actually going on inside of the site really hindered them. They have to go for the face checks and they immediately lose 2 people off of that. You can't have that inside of those moments where you're going for that case plant. They were just really low on the info and not really able to do too much. Let's see what they try and change up here. And just to remind you folks, this is an offensive-sided map. So for XSET, this is already a beautiful start.
Right. And there is a little bit of adjustment coming out here from TSM. They're bringing the Twitch now on Merc. instead of bringing the Jackal, they're going to have a little bit of different source of intel. And there is no Mozzie now on XSET, so actually great timing to bring the Twitch. Now that there is not the Mozzie, you don't have to worry about losing your drones to that. They're going to be able to actually jump those drones around as well and get hopefully into some good positions.
Yeah, that's actually a new thing as well. Twitch actually, she has ups on her drones now. She can actually jump, which is pretty interesting. You can get those things up into some pretty unique spots now.
It's just too bad that you can't headshot with them.
That's true. Could you imagine they did extra damage with that? I don't know if you saw any of the guys abusing the Twitch drones on Twitter a little while ago, but the guys that had like the machine gun Twitch drones, that was the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But either way, XSET doing a pretty bang-up job of holding on this top floor as of right now. Creators will be able to avoid 2 stuns and then drop off. This is a position that we see played quite often here from a numerous amount of NAL members. This time around, though, obviously done from XSET, as they'll hold on to Library for a little while and be able to at least slow down TSM momentarily. NVK will actually be rocking the position upstairs, not with the M590, oh no. Instead, with that FMG9, with the 1.5, wants to be able to reach out there and tap somebody if necessary, but this has been pretty slow moving thus far as TSM is trying to get a grasp on what's going on around the map.
Yeah, it looks like Chalet, watching him switch around to drones and things like that, it looks like he's trying to set up for a call, right? He's acting as their IGL, he's trying to get the information to find out how they move in from here, because you see them stalled outside the library. They need library control for this attack to succeed. Finka boost coming out. They're getting ready for the start of a take, so obviously got the intel he needed. He's back off the drone, but there's a kill on Bolo. That's going to slow things down, but hey, at least now he could check cams for them, switch between the different drones, which he's going to do, as well as switch between players. But now, the boost is wearing off. They're not getting the control that they need, and they've already burned 2 whole minutes trying to get in here. Not looking great. There is a little bit of utility left on attack, but they're going to have to find a kill or at least get good, solid map control. This is not going to happen. There we go. That's the start.
That's unfortunate there for Razor, as you think it's going to go his way, but Merc able to find the mark. Not only that, has the F2 in hand as well. Not a weapon you want to hear when you're trying to take a gunfight, but Filthy, he'll change it up. He'll take down Merc, and this is a player that we saw starting to pop off last week, but I'm telling you right now, folks, he's looking a lot warmer. You better watch yourself, because he's about to knock some socks off here. Already has 2 kills inside of this round, but now some frag grenades coming into his area as well. Achieve will be able to get rid of the bulletproof here as TSM trying to power themselves forward. It'll be Achieve with the pickup onto NVK, but XSET still relying on this site pressure. Filthy going to get quite lit up, and oh no, Achieve not enough bullets, but finally he'll get the pistol out. Filthy not able to keep the bullet count in his mind. Just gets a little panicked in behind that couch, and he'll get taken down. But Prod, he's got the move, he's got the case, and Creators will send it all the way home. XSET with 2 rounds over TSM.
I mean, it's super obvious that the entry frags are not coming out for TSM.
Absolutely.
It's costing them every time. That's 2 rounds in a row that it came down to Chalet and Achieve trying to clutch it out. You got one trying to get the plant down, the other one trying to just frag his mind out to try and even things up. I mean, he's having to shoot people with a pistol through a couch, like at this point of desperation.
It's hard. It's hard, isn't it?
It's rough. I mean, XSET, as we know, they're trying to come up as a team. They've struggled a lot. But TSM are the ones that seeming like they're faltering from where they were before, really running into a lot of problems. I don't know if this the Finka play is really paying off for Bolo.
You know, it's really hard to say, especially with the influence that it's had thus far. I mean, we really haven't seen anything out of frag grenades. We haven't seen anything from the adrenal surges.
It's throwing off the recoil. That's the problem, right?
Of course. Merc's just like, dude, you got to stop using that.
Come on, man.
You know, the biggest thing inside of that round is I have to wholeheartedly agree with you. You know, there's not really anything else I can say, Devin. There's nothing really going on this offense right now. Their first kill happens because Razor jumps outside into Merc.
Right.
No one's getting in the building to try and fight anybody right now, and it really seems that TSM FTX today are just very lackluster, and I don't necessarily know what the actual issue is at its core, but as of right now, it's very stagnant. They're not moving, and there's really no progression throughout the map unless XSET makes the move.
I mean, it's almost like we need to see that aggressive, like the old school Ashe plays running in the Yana. Something.
Did you just say Ashe on Broad? You can't say that.
Oh,
yeah, you can't. Shh, you can't.
Made it a real Ashe of myself.
Okay, you got my vote. All right.
But, I mean, Merc's Twitch is not really doing what it needs to do right on that entry. He's not coming in with the F2 and just hitting Alt F4 on them. It's not happening. And the Finka boost, I mean, it's great to have, but you see them stalling out after they get boosted. it's not really doing much for them.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have to agree with you wholeheartedly. Really, there's
I know
not
you're
much
reluctant.
yeah, right. I mean, hey, man, you never know what comes down the pipeline when talking about teams in a negative light. But for TSM, just no, it's all fun, guys. It's either way,
Right.
So for XSET here, got a minute off the board. Not too much activity going on for them just yet. We will have Razor on this top floor, holding things down currently inside a bathroom in part with NVK. We're currently playing this space as well. ADSs as well as my discs in tow. And by in tow, I mean there is just a metric load of them in this space. TSM is going to need quite the hefty artillery to try and burn through this. I really enjoy this XSET setup right now because you can see it's a fallback strategy for them. They've got creators over inside of Solarium. He'll be able to manage a couple of these different angles that they've set up, as well as some very unique ones that we've got around this bathroom space. Merc's going to get caught off guard as Razor's standing on top of the hot tub instead of the bathroom. And he's going to get that initial frag. Now, with Merc off the board, where does TSM go from here?
Well, the same as they have the last 2 rounds, it seems, because Merc going off the board early has definitely been a trend for them so far. He just really hasn't been showing up the way he needs to, and we know how TSM is. If Merc's not showing up, the whole team might as well take vacation, it seems like.
At least with this stage, it's been a very unique one. You and I were talking about this earlier, where it just seems as though without Merc, there's really not much going on. And it's such a strange thing to say about this team, but finally, got some action going on here. It's going to have trades back and forth, but XSET's going to come out on top of the pile here. Finally, Razor will get taken down. So it's a 2 versus 3 with some time here for Bolo and Achieve to get something done, but very minimal info to influence this situation overall. Achieve the only one with a drone currently, unless they get a flank drone to try and watch for these currently dead members of TSM. XSET looking for yet another kill here through explosive means. It's the Nitro Cell on the ceiling to try and prevent any of this TSM vertical play from coming into play. But it seems like they want to try and prioritize the Solarium space instead. And with the amount of bodies XSET has, this is going to be quite difficult. Haven't been able to clear things out, but Achieve finally gets one. And all of a sudden, this is very valuable. I mean, Filthy, he's going to get taken out. And really, what can they do with the situation at this point? They forced XSET back into dining. And man, this has been a patience game overall. Creators, he's going to start crawling out of his cave, and Achieved still with a couple of frag grenades as well, but it's not necessary. Bolo, he's overpowering them with the SMG, or rather LMG, and now Creators, he's got the shot. Achieve will start the plant, but he's got to stick it, and no, Creators, they'll be able to clean it up. No one overseeing West Main, and XSET walk away with yet another.
The positive of that one was seeing Bolo finally pop off, right? We were expecting it the whole time. You expect it from Bolo, right? I mean, he has games where he doesn't pop off as much, but he's a fairly consistent player for the most part. It seemed so lost half the time, especially with Merc dying early each time. You depend on that guy to be there mid-round, and Achieved at least is picking it up. Like, I like to see Achieved. He's not giving up on these rounds, even when it's dire at the end, even when he's having to plant in the middle of the kitchen and just hoping for the best. He's at least putting it in. It's the rest of the team, the cohesion doesn't seem there. And honestly, I think it's down to the map a little bit. I don't think TSM was fully prepared for this map because neither team have shown it this season, right? Or this stage, right?
Yeah.
So XSET obviously had some ideas for it. They obviously were very comfortable in how to play it and were prepared for this. TSM doesn't seem to be as prepared for how XSET's playing it.
Yeah, it really seems as though TSM is waltzing into these rounds thinking that it's going to be more of a default thing that's going on. And they're caught off guard time and time again by the positioning of these XSET members, and they really don't have an opportunity to try and gather any more information to have an influence over those moments. And it's just seriously difficult for them. How are you supposed to try and fight your enemy in Rainbow Six if you have no idea where they are?
And they keep trying stuff. They keep trying, you know, they got the Twitch, they got the Jackal. They're really trying to find that intel, and it's just not happening, especially when those team members are dying early.
And we already see some very serious changes coming out here as well, at least on our screens. You guys aren't able to see it just yet, so we'll see if it goes through the pick phase. But as of right now, Gio's got the Lion. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I definitely think that the Lion choice could help them out quite a bit here. I think the only one outside of that I would seriously be looking into if I was the IGL or the coach of this team would be Yana. Stacking up extra frag grenades to handle some of those hard-to-reach areas, as well as having that hologram to clear things out. I mean, that's why we see her picked so very often, is because she's a class act. She's just a Swiss Army knife. You can use her for anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Switch Bolo out to that role because don't change anything for Achieved right now.
No.
He's doing his job on Sledge.
He's on Sledge. That's what we need from Achieved. That's what we've always expected from Achieved. He just does things and it works. So.
The hammer is an appropriate symbol for him right now. It's Bolo that's just, I don't know, maybe he's addicted to the adrenaline, but he is sticking on this Finka regardless.
You know, I think that especially with how things have been going recently, especially with the changes, that Finka definitely has a place here to play these things out, especially with Bolo on the LMG. I think that's the big play here, is that when it comes down to actually executing onto site, Bolo can simply overwhelm people where they can't do the same to him. He's got 150 rounds, folks, inside of that LMG, whereas the average magazine inside of Rainbow Six has 30. So good luck.
Here's the problem, though. Like, I mean, if you're going to bring an LMG, maybe just bring IQ at this point to bring an LMG, because you get some other utility you can bring to the game.
No frag grenades, though.
That's the downside, right? But we haven't seen any frag grenade kills coming out.
You heard it here first, dev team. Where's our frag grenades for IQ?
Are you seeing frag grenades kills come out? Because I'm certainly not, for the most part. We ended that last round with 2 frag grenades in Achieve's pocket as he's trying to plant kitchen. So
okay, Devin, okay.
I love the frag grenades, don't get me wrong, but I would love to see them popping on some people.
I would love to see them using them. I would completely agree.
Absolutely. So, I mean, maybe they're clearing some utility with them we're not always seeing, but I still think at this point there's better choices for Bolo to be on.
You know, there's so many things happening to TSM right now. It's really hard to just put your finger on one thing. There's really no central pulse to this,
We only have 5 fingers for each team, so that's just 1 per person.
Exactly. So I have to use my fingers and toes to start, you know, pointing all of these things out.
Put a toe on the coach.
Exactly. But TSM, they're seeming a lot more opt to try and push into this now. Bolo especially, that LMG actually won't work out for him initially. Get some serious damage onto NVK, but NVK will be allowed to persist, not before he gets taken down from Merkin. Oh!
There we go!
Oh my god! The pistol kill! You were not expecting that when he rotates up Solarium, and he'll take down 2 XSET members to throw the game changer in here in round 4.
Go ahead and nerf the F2. He's still got a pistol.
Exactly, my friend. Exactly. And this is the action that we wanted to see, folks, bringing Emzo back in here. He hasn't got a solid round just yet to actually get some solid analysis down, but finally, we're getting something to happen here, and it's TSM FTX bouncing back. XSET, though, they still have a lot inside of the tank here. 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining, as well as Prod still on these Electro Claws. If you guys don't know that much about Prod, this is one of his prime time operator choices in the likes of Kaid, so be expecting some pretty interesting tricking going on with those Electro Claws. He's already achieved it once and made it where Chalet can't get in as of right now, but oh man, this duel going back and forth on blue. Filthy, such a risky situation currently for him, but Bolo obviously aware that he cannot step up into this at risk of his life, so instead he will be simply sitting here and waiting for the next move.
I mean, like you said, with the LMG, he's got all those bullets to sit there and wait patiently, but he actually gets taken down by the shotgun. Finally finished off as well, though, by Geo. It's, well, even back in TSM's favor at this point. 1-man advantage. Creators, though, taking a lot of damage in the meantime, and Chalet going for the plant. I think this might be TSM's first successful round. As I say that, of course, Prod, as you mentioned, on that Kaid, evening things up. Chalet down now. Someone else going to have to stick that, and Geo's not going to be the man to do it. He's got such little health left. It's going to have to be achieved. Checking his email on that little briefcase again.
Caster's curse, folks. You guys know how it breaks down.
Yep, I shouldn't have said anything.
You said it. You
said
it, Devin. You know, you've been gone for like almost 2 years, and still you come back and you do it the first game. I don't know what to tell you, but Geo's got to try and stick this now. Achieved will be overseeing this, but it's going to be a change of location. Geo actually trying to push into this. They try and go for the frags instead, and honestly, folks, you guys just make up what you want to say about that, because, I mean, Geo, I'll be really honest with you, that decision-making right there, very, very poor. Not happy with TSM at all in the slightest on that one.
I got to imagine there was a serious lack of intel at the end there as well. There was no way there was going to be drones sitting around giving them a lot of intel inside Wine. It was just, you know what, let's try it at that point.
It's just too low a time. That's the biggest thing for me. I don't hate the call. What I hate is the time in which it was called.
Right.
You expect more, especially out of TSM FTX, than to, hey, there's 4 seconds remaining. Let's stop planning, and let's try and rush down these players through a rotate hole that they know exists.
Right.
You know,
I hate to blame Chalet, but right now the team doesn't seem very coordinated.
No, I mean, not in the slightest, but I mean, you look across the board right now, and really, where is the influence? It's Achieved. That's it, but Achieved didn't even get a kill inside of that last round either. He's been, you know, sitting on 7 here for quite some time, and to be honest, this is the most dominant that we've seen XSET, and I honestly know that we've been harping on TSM here for a little bit, but we'll tell you guys, XSET, they're playing very, very solid Siege right now. The biggest thing walking in here right now and seeing what they're performing on this defensive end is that there's a lot of change-ups going on around the map, and particularly when they were playing the kitchen site, that top floor hole that they had was very far back, where we see quite a few teams like to play inside of the office, play inside of piano. They had those long angles, and it's something that TSM just oversighted. They're like, oh, there's really not anybody up here. They lose Merc initially, and it just all snowballs into this huge issue that they can't solve.
They need to find an early pick. Or two. Two preferably.
three.
Yeah, two would be enough for TSM to win one of these rounds. But and I know this game doesn't necessarily always rely on entry frags, but I think you've seen pretty clearly that TSM desperately needs them at this point.
Yeah, you know, it's a hard discussion when it comes to Rainbow Six Siege because games like Counter-Strike and that kind of stuff, you're talking about a different level of utility, right? Rainbow Six Siege, there's one person that is only allowed to do that job, per se, inside of an operator lineup, right? So when you lose somebody, it can be like, oh yeah, you know, it's still a 4 versus 5, but that could also mean you can't make any vertical, vertical holes, you can't open a breach, there's so many things that can possibly happen to you, and for those of you that have played Siege for a very long time, I will be glad to remind you of the days where either Thatcher died or Thermite died and the round was over. That was it.
Right.
You had to be the safest player in the world in order to play Rainbow Six Siege inside of year 1 up until when Habana got released in year 1 season 4.
Luckily, Chalet is managing to stick around, though. So the Thermite player is still playing his role. He's sticking around. He's doing his thing. It's, again, we're just not seeing the entry frags there. Geo's having trouble having an impact on the rounds as well, it seems. Chalet, actually, as I say that, of course, is taking out a bit of damage. Taking a little bit of risk there. At the same time, I think they're slowly gaining some ground here, but this XSET is still pushing them back. They're still droning, still trying to get intel, still trying to take down these shields, really, is what it comes down to. Wumai doing a great job along with the Jaeger to make sure to deny as much as grenades as possible to keep these shields up, and that is continuing to slow TSM FTX down. They can't see it. However, Chala with the opening kill. There we go. That's the big turn that we needed to twist to make sure that they win this round. Maybe they won't. Maybe I just cursed them again. But that's what I was hoping to see. And it really shouldn't be the Thermite getting the opening kill. As we were talking about during the beginning, the Geo really struggling on opening kills, for example. Yeah,
I mean, the entire team currently just opening, struggling on these opening kills because most of the time they are the opening kill. And speaking of that, XSET are going to get theirs. They'll take down Merc here, so no more Twitch drones as well as no one trying to bail into sight with an F2 that could be very, very risky for a lot of these XSET members. But as it's getting to low time now, TSM have to try and power forward. Still working on this vertical control here is achieved with the sledgehammer. And continue to break up this flooring and search for these XSET members who have all found safe harbor inside of sight and some pretty unique angles that they can abuse to try and take out a few of these members. Filthy's going to wait too long. Yeah, he tries to trigger discipline it, but doesn't stick to the actual angle. Eventually, Prado will go down to these vertical angles, actually. And just to remind you, Razor also on very low HP. This is looking like a round that TSM FTX could get away with, but on minimal time, the action has to come now. They're going to bail inside. NVK will be the first one taken down inside of bar stock is achieved. Will take control of the entire area. Apparently doesn't know that Filthy isn't on his team. That's going to be a triple for him, but now Razor trying to fire back. But the issue is, once again, very low HP. It's a 1 versus 4 for him after he gets the initial kill. It was a 1 versus 3, but it's not going to matter. TSM know exactly where he is after that frag, and TSM will get their first round on the offense.
Like I said, Chalet getting an opening kill, that's what they needed. It obviously took a while there, and it was down to the very last 30 seconds where they were able to actually start to make a push. I got to say one thing for Achieved, his vertical play, top notch. I think half of his kills this match have been through bars in the floor on that sledge. So he is definitely playing that very, very well, and that, especially on that attack, is absolutely what they need because they're having trouble dealing with throwing grenades down, for example, to try and clear the site because of the Wumai and the Jaeger. They're not able to clear half of what they need to, so it's down to fighting angles through bars onto a bar.
Absolutely. It's down to the firepower and what you can produce with the angles that you can find through those means. And I completely agree with you. I think Achieved is the star player right now for TSM, and I'm pretty sure all of you at home agree with us. 10-2-0 right now, and that's with 0 frag grenades having influence over this, whereas with Achieved, we usually see those come into play as well. I mean, how many times, Devin, have we had a perfect 2 for 2 in a round from Achieved?
Him and BC were like the nade gods.
Dude, it was like watching Steph Curry play, man, just from downtown. You do it from the logo. But either way, TSM's starting to bounce back, but we need to see it from the rest of the team. We need to see some serious influence inside of these gunfights, as well as capitalizing on the info that they can try and find early here. I will say this, though. What I've been loving out of XSET is their just unadulterated aggression. It has been so well done from them, the way that they've been able to really slow down TSM and force them into these
I think their communication is on par right now, too.
Absolutely.
I think they're calling out where they're finding members of TSM and absolutely exploiting that information as a team.
Yes.
That's what you need to do on defense, right?
That's Rainbow Six as a whole. You can't fight by yourself.
Find a place to hide, and then call your friends to come beat the one guy up you find alone. It's like a haunted house, basically, at this point.
Yeah, it's like, you ever play Dead by Daylight? It's like, all right, yeah, the killer's over here. Just don't touch me. I'm just going to run in circles for a little while. Yeah, it's just
bait him out.
Yeah, exactly. You're always asking for some assistance in a certain way. Well, so that's really what it comes down to when it comes to this. But we are going to be having some change up here on the offense.
Merc changing up to the Buck, I hope that's what they needed, because Merc has just not found his groove yet. And I mean, that could be the play, right? Buck is a very aggressive operator. If you know how to play him right on someone like Merc, I think he could pull it off. But I don't know if he has the confidence after getting dipped early so many rounds. That's really going to put a hit in your psychology.
Well, I can tell you as somebody that had to play against him quite a bit back in the day, Merc never really gets, down on himself. The only thing he ever does is really get angry. That's about it. And when Merc is angry, that's when he just fries people.
Yeah.
So
when you type at him.
Yeah. I'm sure we're all aware of anyone trying to GN Merc is more than likely on the receiving end the next round.
XSET needs to do that right now, so that way the tables can turn.
Yeah. Never feel like you're too far ahead against this team, because that's right when they rip the rug out from under you.
Right. Merc never has a good night.
Oh my gosh. What's hilarious is actually back in the day when him and I were both playing on console, there was this team that was actually, I'm pretty sure Prod was on it as well, actually. It was called Pissed Off for Greatness. That's what it was called.
The motivation you need.
Exactly. But guys, we're pretty deep into this round here right now, and honestly, I'm very sorry. Not too much has happened. They've gotten the wall open upstairs, but XSET hasn't taken any damage. You can say the same for TSM as well. It's really only been the drones that have seen any action inside of this one. Creators is still holding on to this top floor as well with Razor, so none of this vertical play coming into play just yet for TSM.
Well, I do like to see that despite not having something like Valkyrie, they're bringing 2 bulletproof cameras to make sure they have all the intel they need, and that's just paying off time and time again for the most part. However, Bolo getting the opening kill, again, the opening frag, that's what they need. Getting the Jaeger dead will help, but I think, they need to take care of Prod for sure, because he's just been someone to make sure to come through in a clutch. And as I say that, Prod gets the kill on Chalet. That is Chalet and Bolo down now as well. So,
man.
Merc, there we go. Finally waking up, the adrenaline shot finally kicked in, but Prod still bringing it in. He's down and finally out.
All right, well, 2 versus 1 now here as XSET are on the receiving end of some very aggressive play from Achieved in Merc, but this is completely doable from Razor, and we'll remind you guys, this guy is pretty damn good at the video game. Some very minimal HP targets. Obviously, it's a little bit easier for him. Waiting to see what this plant's going to do. Do they know where he's coming from, though? They get spot on intel, but Merc will get taken down on the repeat here from Razor, but he's low as well. He doesn't know where the plant went down either, and finally, Achieve will get one on the board. It seems that he is the miracle man for TSM in this one.
Second time he's had to try and make that plant down, but in this situation, his teammate didn't die prematurely like Bolo was, just getting picked off. So that's the nice thing for TSM is they've managed to pick up some momentum, right? They've got something going. They're managing to do something. The downside is now they switch sides. So now they potentially lose some of that momentum if they're not going to keep that up on defense. Whereas XSET, if they were going for this map, probably have maybe a more solid plan. But again, both teams didn't show Chalet. So XSET's not going to necessarily know what TSM's planning to do any better than TSM did. So it could go either way. They are going to play the Finka as well for MVK, but they are going to bring a little bit more entry-heavy stuff with Yana and Zofia. So I think they're looking for, look at the firepower on the team. Outside of the Thermite, they're looking to go in guns blazing and do a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, the traps are out.
Yeah, the traps are out, and one that's came into meta, Emzo, that's pretty fun to talk about, is Chalet, but not him in particular. It's the Frost.
Right.
We've been seeing so much of her, man, and it's actually so refreshing. You have no idea. We see her really, really often on these windows, sometimes doubled up and stuff like that.
It's because winter's coming.
Oh, of course. Speaking of the winter is coming, can we just say that was like possibly the worst thing to happen to a TV show? Let's say that for 5 seasons and then have 1 episode about it.
Yeah, why not?
Let's just...
Well, weather-based TV shows are not that exciting. The Weather Channel, isn't exactly a good place for drama.
Hey, you got me there. That's very, very true. But in this case, it's going to work out very well because, it makes it to where when you hop those windows, you have a 50-50. Yep. It's either you try and kill the person overseeing the frost mat or you die to the frost mat.
And there's a lot of windows on this map.
Yeah, it's just very, very difficult. I mean, we've been seeing on this map as well as Coastline inside of Gym Bedroom, a fan favorite, as that map has been around for eons. But either way, we're about 30 seconds into round 7 here, folks. As you guys have more than likely already noticed, we have indeed switched sides. XSET doing their best right now to try and get this offensive ball rolling, and they're going to be taking a page out of TSM's book, but also having their own twist to it. We're going to have the Yana come in as well as Zofia for some soft destruction, but the Fink is still along for the ride in the likes of NVK.
Ooh, that delayed approach there, but Mark actually able to get the opening kill. Again, a good start. However, traded by NVK, not the best. The Yana off the board, though, means that infinite drones are now gone. They now have to depend on the limited intel that they're going to be able to get from going in and actually doing the drone work. So that's a good start. I think that, the entry frag basically dead. Although, with the amount of guns they have on their team right now, anyone could be considered the entry at this point, practically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only one that you could say even has somewhat of a lackluster gun would be the Thermite with the 5.56. But
unless
even
it's
then,
like Goga or someone like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, oh, dude, I haven't heard Goga's name in so very long, Devin. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. I mean, I think he's actually playing in a Spain National League now. I think that's what he does.
I mean, that's appropriate. He's Spanish.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's cool to see him still playing around and everything. But my God, I've not heard that name in forever.
That's what I'm here for. I'm the history tour.
Next, you're going to be like, oh, that move looked exactly like Fabian. I'm like, oh, no.
No.
Now you're really going to be sending me for a loop. But either way, though, obviously we lost Razor a little bit earlier on with that exchange here for Merc. But past that, folks, really nothing's happened. It's all down to the drone game and seeing where these last remaining members of TSM are. They still have to get rid of Bolo up top here on the library balcony. He'll be operating around this space for quite some time, especially with these ADSs still here. He's going to vacate the premises, though, as he still has plenty of utility to try and play this out, especially that Nitro cell that could come up big here and grant him some serious kills.
Well, it looks like the Mozzie was probably still doing his job and slowing down droning as well. They're identifying one of the drones there. You can see it on the spot. Filthy, managing takedown achieved, is again slowing things down on this attack, but they managed to get man advantage. However, 35 seconds left to actually make an approach in a plant. We know Prod's good at getting the plant down, but he needs to get into sight to be able to do that, and that's up to the rest of his teammates to find some kills. Bolo takes down NVK. That's going to make it even harder now. Man advantage gone. Both teams untouched as far as the rest of the remaining players, though, health-wise. Very little utility left, 15 seconds. I don't think it's going to happen here for Prod.
Yeah, I got to completely agree with you, and it seems like we're having a couple of issues from TSM's offense now. Actually reaping the same benefits on their defensive side as XSET did. Looks like this round's going to be going by the wayside soon, although Filthy does have an opportunity. He'll get one, can't get the other. It's only going to be down onto the Jaeger as well as TSM pick up their first defensive round. And it's going to be up to the entry once again here, Devin. No real push forward. They'll obviously have that exchange, but past that, it's very slow and grueling. No one really trying to get anything done up top. And really, I mean, just got to call this out. You can't go with a one-front attack into library like that. You have got to get somebody out on those balconies, start playing those windows, and make it difficult for someone like Bolo to play around that balcony. And this is honestly why I was telling you earlier why I find Chalet so interesting. It's because of those top floor clears, and they're missing a very key part of it. Usually we see ranged hard breach over on the library side. They'll clear out that entire space and then start breaching that singular panel they use to make sure that Bolo is safe there on library balcony. We saw none of that.
No.
Instead, they just allow Bolo to sit upstairs the entire time. No adjustments are made, and XSET lose way too many bodies in way too little amount of time at the very end. And, well, TSM get another round on defense.
Well, we heard from the desk as well when he was talking to Jesse was talking to Drew that he prefers picking the starting side more than the map. Clearly, that was XSET's agenda here. They picked the starting side. They wanted defense. They won most of the rounds. That also put them in a position where they could look to see how TSM plays because they hadn't shown this map and adapt. Defense gets a better chance to adapt than attack does, especially since attack is mostly dependent on their drones to be able to get things done. This is the case, however, where now TSM's actually found their groove. They're in a good position now. They can set up. And XSET don't have any intel to work off of either. They're going to have to start doing the hard digging through the defensive structure. And we're seeing a lot more traps and delays coming out from TSM. They're bringing the shields on Goyle, but they're also bringing extra shields. You have Chalet bringing an extra one as well. We saw it in play last time with Goyle hiding behind that extra shield. And we're seeing one from Merc as well. So they're playing the delay game. They've got C4s and shields and welcome mats. You're not getting in there without some delays. Not to mention the exploding shields also tend to do a bit of delaying.
Yeah, exactly. Those Goyo shields can be used in pretty particular ways to delay some more time if necessary. But for the most part, very good at setting up those bastions of defense around the map and forcing XSET to try and clear them. And that's the biggest thing here is that XSET are going to have to be very, very good in their utility department. This is going to require some very serious management to clear out these areas properly. The good news is, though, is that they cannot defend all of these shields. Geo is the only one that can actually prevent any throwables here with those ADSs, and as we know, it can only prevent one at a time until it resets now. Obviously, it's infinite, the amount it can get, but that cooldown is going to make it easy for XSET to try and process through all of this. There's going to be a lot of problem solving for them on this round, so be looking to see how XSET deals with this utility game.
Right, and the one thing they're bringing different this time is they're trying the Lion to see if they could deal with a little bit of that roam play they were struggling to pin down. You saw especially the trades towards the end of the round where they just lacked intel on where a lot of the players were running around. I hope they're planning to save some of those for late round, especially if they get a situation like last round where they got 30 seconds left.
Was that supposed to happen? Is there a Mozzie? There's no Mozzie. Oh, I don't. You know what?
Whoops.
It's
false highlight.
It's hilarious because a long time ago, when way back in the day when I played comp, one of my buddies, our team wasn't droning, and he literally told all of our teammates, he was like, "If you're not gonna drone, put your drones on the ground, and I'll shoot them for you." That's what he said. It's like just a little bit of a flashback there for me. But
the
now
drone's giving away my position. Shoot it.
It's almost like he thought that there was a Mozzie pest there. And he's like, all right, let's get rid of it. Like, okay, well, there's no Mozzie there, Razor. So unfortunate for him. But
no,
either
he's
way,
practicing his aim. Like you see people shoot debris sometimes to warm up their aim.
Exactly.
He headshot that drone.
He just throws it up in the sky, just skeet shoots it.
Yeah. Oh, a little damage on Geo.
Yeah, some serious damage going on to him. He'll be downstairs inside a bar stock. Filthy will pick that up as they're starting to try and prioritize site here, but you can see this top floor hold has stood tall for TSM. Too much going on this top floor, and XSET went nothing to do with it. They didn't find the intel to have any influence up here, and no one trying to manage any of these windows either. The only man is all the way back in Solarium to try and stop any of these rotations. Let's see how this breaks down going into the last 30 seconds. It's going to be Razor to start us off here, so it's going to be down to the site players for TSM to try and prevent a plant. That's the biggest thing that's more than likely going to be coming into their arms very, very soon. We're going to have an adrenal surge out as Chalet will be able to meet his mark. Merc will take down one, and he's looking for yet another here. Azel prone, and oh no, TSM, they're starting to get away with too much. Merc, he'll whip out the shotgun, take down yet another. Filthy, he's trying to get some pressure in here as Razor plants down. He has to stay on top of this LMG as he continues to fire. Oh no, he'll be able to get the plant off for Razor, who's currently in behind the bomb chassis for dining, and Merc with a beautiful shot from the SMG-11, and he's got to let everybody know before he defuses that case. Merc is back online.
I think he's ready for the good night lullabies now.
Yeah, it's coming soon. It's coming soon, Devin. Things have not changed up too much, my friend, since you have been gone.
No,
it is still just get Merc mad enough to want to shoot straight, and he will achieve that insane round here from TSM.
Absolutely, and I think at this point, they're not in too bad of a position that they can't come back from this. Obviously, those initial round losses weren't going to help things, but it's been momentum. TSM have won 4 rounds in a row now, so it's been a complete switch. We had 4 rounds in a row from XSET, then 4 rounds in a row from TSM. So this is where it happens. The tactical timeout coming out, XSET goes, we need to break that momentum now. We need to switch things around. We need to go. This is a moment for them to talk about. Again, they both lacked intel on how the other team was going to play this map, right? So now's the point during this tactical timeout. They go, okay, so what are they doing on their defense that's hurting us so bad? Why are we so slow on these attacks? How can we get in there, just dig our feet in like a tick, and just get into the map, get some kills, and get moving? They did a pretty good job that last round. They managed to get those 2 early kills, have some man advantage, 5v3. They just couldn't get it in the end, right? Because you had people like Merc finally going off. You saw the way he was moving around was just, he was hyped up.
Yeah.
He was in that clutch zone that you get into when you're just flicking around. Yeah. The flow, absolutely. And you could see it in that play right there. That's what they need to get him out of at this point if they want to have a chance of winning this. And this match, as I said, matters for both these teams right now. Yeah,
flow state is something that we would never really talk about it. It's one of those things where like your focus is just so honed in that these are those times where, folks, if you've ever at home have had one of those games where you're just dialed in, you accidentally shoot one of your teammates right when they peek. That's basically it. Like, you're
Right.
just so dialed in that if a pixel moves incorrectly on the screen, you're probably going to try and shoot at it.
Yeah, you're just clicking it.
Exactly. And that's what Merc gets to at those points. You know, when you just see someone's shoulder brush past an angle and he's already flicked to it and trying to kill them.
Exactly.
You know, it's so scary, let me tell you.
Right.
As someone that's had to be behind a deployable shield in that exact same situation, it is not fun with Merc trying to kill you. It's just not a good time.
Just bearing down at you.
You're just like, please, I don't want to die. Not
I
like
surrender.
this.
White flag.
Yeah. Is that okay? Can I just give up the bomb site?
Right,
Is that
right.
fine? Like, but either way, some very interesting things happening here on
Yeah.
Chalet, folks.
The
'cause-
bomb site.
Yeah, I mean that as well. But even for you especially.
Right,
but-
right. Bedroom. As you pointed out before the match, I come from the days when bedroom was a joke.
Yes, exactly. And now, well, not this stage. I'll read the stats off to you here in a second. But throughout the season, it was
Right.
actually the most defendable bomb site in the entirety of the map. And guess what? The basement was the worst. Explain that. Explain that, Devin. Oh my gosh. Either way, though, Chalet currently has had 5 plays inside of stage 3 as a 40% overall win rate for the defensive end, with the most defendable bomb site being Kitchen Dining at 50%, Bar Gaming 47, Wine Cellar Snowmobile, which if you guys remember was the worst bomb site last stage, 43%, Master Office 10.
Well, considering this match right here, those statistics might get skewed because basically every bomb site has been won by defense so far for the most part. So outside of that one last round where TSM won on bar, it's been pretty much perfect. So you said at the beginning of this match that attacker sided. I guess not in this matchup.
Yeah, no. I mean, we've had 6 defensive round wins thus far, only
Right.
2 offensive wins throughout this. So, I mean,
You know what I could see happening here? Going to overtime and both teams really switching things up instead of winning on attack. I've seen this time and time again throughout the years where teams are figuring each other out. They're just figuring things out throughout the main regulation rounds, and then they get to OT and they've got it figured out. The team that figures it out first and locks it down ends up winning, but that's not a great outcome for either of these teams, right? They don't want an overtime because the points are reduced. Both these teams need points to lock in whatever position they're trying to lock into at this point. While XSET is a long shot from going to Sweden, if they lose this, that pretty much cements, I cement shoes really at that point,
Yeah,
in terms of possible relegation.
yeah, basically the mafia at that point. It's like, you're going to be swim with the fishes, my friend. You got to try and get out of those.
They need to add swimming to this game just for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm
For
saying.
Canal.
Oh man, luckily enough we haven't had to get that one inside of the professional pool. Although, it's a
I
decently
feel
fun
like it
map.
almost happened when it first came out with the revamp.
Dude, it was real close. It was real close, I feel, as well. But I ended up not getting it, which, I mean, for better or for worse, I feel like Canal's one of those maps where you either take it or you leave it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, but either way, though, guys, we're down to about the last minute here.
Oh, yeah,
and
literally nothing has happened in the first 2
literally,
minutes.
Thank you. Nothing has really happened inside of these first couple of minutes here. XSET really haven't even lost any drones. Creator's the only one that's lost all of them. Razor's lost 1, and that really doesn't mean too much to his overall story either because he has the hologram. XSET currently working on this basement floor, but it's mostly filthy as he'll rotate in through Snowmobile. He's going to push up the main stairs and hop back on that drone, but he's going to completely avoid Merc down low, which more than likely will be coming through with a flank momentarily.
Well, the Lion Call is going to definitely help with that. Try to get some push actually going in, but you see he's still standing outside. At 30 seconds left. This is not a good place to be. Yeah, there's a lot of outside access. Prod, however, the ninja he is, managing to get the plant down. Just about to finish it. Creators cements that with kill on Geo. And there we go. Nice C4. Did some damage. Achieved. Tries to finish off Prod successfully. Diffuser was already planted, though. Chalet falls down. This is not looking great for TSM to be able to pull this back, especially as Achieved takes more damage.
Creator's going to get yet another one here, and he has just been battling back and forth on these windows. The dust will settle for a second, but obviously the timer continuing to tick. Merc trying to take a lot of damage inside of this 1 versus 4, and it's going to be filthy to wrap it up. And XSET, this is looking like a completely different team as of right now. I do not know what they ate for breakfast, but I mean, it's looking very serious as opposed to what we had seen, in the past of this team. Very discombobulated is what this team used to be. There was a lot of plays going on, but no one really backing them up. Whereas right now, XSET, I mean, they just seem completely flushed out when it comes to Chalet.
Maybe it's just the threat of relegation.
You
They're just starting to sweat.
You start to feel that heat, man. That's how it is. It's kind of like when you're at work and your boss is like, "Hey, kind of need you to pick it up, otherwise you're
Right.
going to be going places. And you're like,
Right.
oh, well, I still need to pay my bills, so
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're not going
man.
to get a lot of work done if you're not threatening to be fired every other day.
Exactly. And for XSET, I mean, they are indeed in
Well, this
the
is stage
hottest
3,
seat possible.
right? This is it.
With the lowest points in the league currently right now at 5, under all of those 6s that we saw earlier today on the standings.
Well, it's obviously not over yet. XSET could absolutely just get dumpstered these last
3
couple rounds.
points right here means so
Could
much
happen.
to them.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is TSM don't want to go to overtime either. So it's a situation where TSM need to pick it up fast. We see small changes here and there in the lineup. You finally have the Wamai and the Jaeger coming out this time to try and stop utility, which of course they're bringing still plenty on the attack. Not a lot, honestly, the attacker lineups have been somewhat inflexible. I've noticed there's been maybe 1 or 2 operator change-ups here and there, and that's about it. The defense, however, has been showing to adapt a lot more, but of course that's bomb site changes, right? Whereas the attackers aren't really changing up per bomb site. They're just saying, okay, well, we need to change this up about our lineup. But it is funny to see so much Finka play pushing into this. I mean, yeah, you get the grenades, but I'm not seeing necessarily a lot of kills. You got 3 for NVK. He's actually got the lowest kills on the team right now. So it's not necessarily doing a lot. Bolo as well at 4. The Finka play wasn't really paying off. And I could be told there could be some master strategy that's just so far over my head. But right now it's way below my feet because it is not working.
Hey, that's the difference between someone that just like kind of likes Finka and a
Right.
true Finka appreciator. I just
Right.
don't think that you're a Finka appreciator.
No,
yet, so
it
that's
must-
what I think. But here's the thing: you have a defendable stance because Finka was terrible for forever. So, really, what do you say about that? Well, Achieved isn't going to say too much. He's going to lose about 25 HP,
I like his
but he'll
little
be able to
garage
get away
door
with
opener
it.
there. He's just like, I'll open the garage to see who's out there.
Yeah, and he's going to find somebody with a gun. I don't think that that's exactly what he expected outside the
he was
garage
hoping
door.
someone just droning.
He's just trying to find his morning coffee. That's about it. But
Right.
apparently someone body blocking his car inside the garage
Come
here.
on, man, I'm snowed in.
just wanted to run down to the local coffee shop down the corner. But either way, though, here for XSET, this top floor clear is going off without a hitch. Haven't had too many people step in the way just yet. NVK will push himself out onto K9 now as he'll continue to try and wrap around Bolo. Now remember, folks, this is where XSET had some issues the last time. We didn't see anybody try and take up library balcony and apply pressure through that means, which means Bolo gets to focus on this door the entire time, which is where the brunt of XSET exists.
Well, it was good to see that Goyo shield actually get taken out fairly early enough, and that pushed the player back on stairs.
Very well done.
Some good
Wow.
progress here.
That frag grenade was very well put. Immediately
Finally,
getting
some
rid of
frags do something. Still no kills with them, but some damage. And that's what I've seen a lot from both these teams. They're doing a lot of damage to each other without finishing their kills very frequently. I think it's just due to the response time. When they start getting shot, they're able to just skedaddle away as fast as possible in situations where they are maybe just peeking out just a little too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Chalet is a map that it's difficult to move around in general, just with the amount of angles that you can get taken out from.
A lot of 90-degree angles.
Exactly. So it's very difficult overall to play this map in general and be safe, and that's why we see a lot of these players just simply trying to stick around defendable positions where they can get back into cover and things like that.
3
and now
men against the
XSET,
stairs.
oh man, it's looking pretty solid right now. Bolo will get taken down, but do they know that there's still one inside of library? That's the biggest thing right now here for TSM that could be a huge hamper to them. It's going to be Merc inside of here, but I don't believe he's been droned. Somebody has got to check this.
Oh, no.
Oh my goodness
So
gracious,
close.
Merc. This trigger discipline is truly
There we go.
insane. It'll take down Razor. Achieved with 2. It's all down to Filthy, and it doesn't even matter. He can't do a single damn thing. TSM walk away with the round.
Merc in the library reads them like a book.
Hey, there it is. There it is. TSM. I mean, what a play by them, especially from Merc. That is a hard round to call for him in that position.
He's such a frag-centric
Yeah.
person, too, that you got to imagine, like you said, the trigger discipline right there, especially he didn't see them. We're seeing the silhouettes, but he hears him.
Yes, absolutely.
He is right there. He's just like, it's like hearing Santa Claus's reindeer on the roof. He just is like so hyped at that moment, but he just maintained.
Yeah, just maintained, and I mean, what a play it was as well. The thing is that TSM delayed so much time up top for X that's the perfect opportunity for Merc to make a play like that. He knows that they can't redrone that space, and they're more than likely going to try and clamber on in there, start working this vertical play, and get some picks onto those players down inside of the actual bomb site. So why not just delay yourself? Don't drop, don't overcommit, just
Absolutely.
simply sit still. If anybody does try to challenge you, you're already gun up. You can try and take the gunfight, or the best case scenario, they oversight you, and you're able to pick up one of the last kills. So for TSM, they'll finally be able to tie things up yet again here. We have the 4-4 scoreline back to the 5-5.
Absolutely.
You know, out of all of the games that I thought was going to be the banger for today, I did not think it was going to be this one.
You know, this isn't absolutely unusual for XSET in that they did the kind of thing with DZ where they were able to go neck and neck to an 8-7. Obviously, they didn't come out ahead on that. Or no, sorry, they came out ahead. DZ didn't come out ahead on that, but it was... You know, they've shown that they can in the right situation, and that was, again, an off map that they had
signs of life.
It was
Yeah,
Villa,
yeah.
right? So it's like maybe the normal maps that they're playing regularly just aren't the ones for them, and maybe that map ban strategy that Drew is using of like, oh, I don't care the map, or map pool is fine. It's like, I don't know if your map pool is fine. Maybe your off maps are your better ones.
Yeah, you know, it could be very, very true. Honestly, I really do appreciate the style of bans that Drew is going for because of the opportunity to pick side. That means so much inside of Rainbow Six Siege.
Especially, like I said, if you're on the...
It's insurmountable, basically.
Yeah, because depending on the map side, you can really decide how that map is played out. Although in this case, as you said, this is an attacker-sided map, but they decided to play defense because they wanted to see and feel out how TSM were going to go on their attacks. Plus, I think they just had a lot of good delay strategies in mind, and that's what we've seen from both teams. Delay, delay, delay. And now, obviously, that's not abnormal at all for defense, but that's really been a strong suit of just not going for early frags for defense on this map.
Yeah, and that's honestly, like, this is the vibe that I get from Chalet as well, is that's really what you need to commit to for strategy, because overcommitting to the gunfights usually plays into the hand of the offense, just the amount of cutoffs that are around the map.
Yeah, you can just get sectioned out pretty easily by flanks. There's a lot of flank positions. Like I said, a lot of entrances from the outside where you can just get completely cut off, and you're just hosed. If you give away your position too early with pre-fire, things like that, yeah, you're absolutely going to get flanked, and I think that's what they're not doing. Trigger discipline all around on defense. They're not taking a lot of engagements they don't need to. They'll just pull back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, halfway through round 11 now, folks, is action starting to ensue here from the XSET camp. They'll pop open office, and this will force TSM FTX just back a little farther here. Mark's going to open up a rotation into Solarium. This is going to make it a little bit easier for a couple of these TSM members to reside in this space and have safe area to actually rotate out towards. So we'll see if this works out for them as XSET trying to dwindle down on this timer, but they haven't taken any damage all except for Razor, who's taken just a slight amount of heat from somebody around the area. But now they've got everything primed for this execute. Top floor breached, the basement breached, or rather the dining room breached as well. They're looking for where they can put this case at the moment.
Well, it's definitely going to come down to time as usual. I think this is going to be another 30-second rush for the actual plant. They are just going to have to take this map control and turn it into at least a kill. Bolo is the prime candidate at the moment with just one, like very little HP left, one C4 in pocket there that they have to be able to fight with, but they've also got 2 spare C4s on Achieved and Merc, so there's a lot of pushback they could do. Once the site execute starts coming out, if they're in positions to start hucking that C4, that's 30 seconds of explosions going on that Prod might not be able to plant during. They're not finding kills through the floor here like Achieved was.
No, they are not. And with very minimal time, XSET have got to hop too. They're going to have the health come in from the Finka and already a kill onto Bolo. The verticality starting to work out, but TSM, they come to life. They'll fire back and take out quite a few XSET members, but XSET have the same thing going on for their camp. A Nitro cell here for Achieve, but it's going to be way off its mark. There's no way that they stop the plant inside of Kitchen currently. Geo doing his damnedest to try and stop this, but it's down into the 1 versus 3 now for Achieved. Currently 16 and 5. But it doesn't matter. Make it 16 and 6. Creators and XSET will be the first ones to map point.
What a fantastic collapse from. They were really, really low on time at that point, and didn't necessarily have any kind of man advantage or anything to really give them an advantage on the position. It was just pushing in. They must have had the intel, good communication to be able to actually start picking players off. And then it just looked like Geo didn't necessarily even know where they were coming from at that point because they were coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
It was just not a good clutchable position to be in, and it gave Proud the opportunity. I mean, he got 1 kill for himself as one of the opening kills there to be able to go set himself up for that plant.
Yeah, absolutely. XSET just allowed to have a little bit too much influence on that top floor with TSM really never stepping up to get in their way. And, you know, obviously we just talked about the gunfights in the way that if the defense does get very aggressive, they can run into some issues. But the other side of that coin is, well, if you do nothing, they also get to do everything. And that's a duality that is this map overall, is you got to find that sweet spot where you're actually able to combat what's going on some of those top floor positions. And we just didn't really see that come through for TSM. It was a very long and drawn-out process as XSET just continued to dwindle their numbers and eventually found that plant not inside of dining like they thought initially because of the breach, inside of kitchen instead. They blow open both of those panels, clear out that top floor, come down Solarium, pick out Bolo inside a trophy, and they already know everything's open. They all think, well, at least for TSM's sake, they all think that they're going to that other side. And it's just very unfortunate circumstances for them.
I mean, it was a situation where I think TSM were the ones lacking the intel that they needed. And speaking of which, they're actually bringing a little bit of counter intel this round to adapt. They're bringing the first mute here to be able to try and adjust. They're not going to go with the Mozzie route that we saw come out from XSET. The mute instead is what Merc's obviously feeling more comfortable playing. And that might be with a change that they need. You saw, like I said, they had a lot of intel at the end of that last round to make that execute as smooth as it was during that last 30 seconds. That's what they're trying to deny now. Now, of course, they have a lot of traps to slow things down, but they didn't really have anything else to be able to deny it. The only problem is this is one of the few matches where Thatcher's not banned.
Yeah.
So Creators could just come in, and he's got some range. In fact, at this point, Thatcher's ADS might even have more range than those mute jammers with how they got kind of nerfed a bit in terms of their range.
I believe that they're practically sitting on top of each other. I think the mute jammer is like 5.3 or 5.5
so
meters.
Close now.
And the EMPs are like 8? Question mark?
They both used to be really long.
Oh,
I mean, it used to be the case where you could basically, on this map in particular, just Thatcher pretty much all of the snowmobile garage from outside.
Yeah. I mean, Thatcher overtime for Rainbow Six has been like the most absurd offensive operator possible, especially like the pre-nerf EMPs with the amount of influence that you had over a game.
It's funny to see that he hasn't really been being brought as much as he probably should be.
No one
when
knows
he's
how
not
to play
banned.
with him anymore.
Right, he's banned every time. We're used to scrimming without him.
The amount of times, like this game right here, this is the first time that we've seen him. This is possibly our last round. Nobody really uses it anymore just because they're so used to using these other tools instead.
Speaking of which, good denial there. They
Absolutely.
managed to deny the explosion. And that is Creators going, what happened? Well, we got 2 left in pocket to be able to make this work. He's going to try and coordinate a little bit better with Prod this time, as he might have just done a fire and forget kind of move. We're still going to see a late Electroclaw come out, though. And that one might possibly survive if they're not able to clear it. They have 1 EMP left.
Yeah, this is starting to get into some very scary territory for both of these teams. It's on a knife's edge as to who ends up going down first. Razor will clear out the initial Goyo shield, so they know that someone's still playing this piano space, and he'll clear out the back end of that as well with that secondary frag grenade. But does he have any assistance up top here? It looks like he's got somebody out on K9 balcony that could possibly be of some assistance here. And yes, indeed, Geo found out. Now Creators will take him down as Geo. He's going to lurk a little bit too long inside of that position, but Bolo will start fighting back as well as he'll take down Razor. We need to see XSET start prioritizing some of these kills, but oh no, does the Chief get across? He does! He makes it out alive after he takes down NVK and XSET. Oh no, this is not looking too good for them now. They thought that they had the 3 points in the bag, but TSM have got something to say about it. They'll take down Prod. It's up to Filthy and Creators now, as they have to even get in the building. Creators still outside of Trophy, and there's only 15 seconds remaining. It's all down to Filthy now, inside of a 1 versus 4. He's got an LMG in his hand, but it doesn't matter. Chalet will clutch things up for TSM, and we're headed to overtime.
Once Prod fell, you just felt that that was over because it was like Diffuser is outside of their grasp, 20 seconds left. They're at a man disadvantage. There was no way they were pulling that back at that point. It just, you saw TSM get into the positions they wanted to. You saw it like Achieved, just making the little dodges he needed to. But I did like that initial bait with Yana where he's able to get the kill, but then he got immediately traded right after that. But it was a good kill on Geo at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And a perfect use of the Yana hologram there as well. Get that good intel and then immediately capitalize off it. That's what you want to see time and time again with the influence of info going on inside of the game. You want to see them try and get those kills because, as we know, Devin, I mean, info doesn't last long inside of Rainbow Six. 5 seconds later and somebody can be halfway across the map.
Half of this game is intel, the other half is just game sense and communication.
Yep.
It's just because that intel's great at the beginning of the round, and then you get halfway in and you've got 2 drones left, and you're just like, I hope those are in good positions for who's going to die now when I go for the execute.
Exactly. It's the most absurd game of chess I've ever played in my life. You can get all of these different pieces and do all this different interesting stuff, and really that's the thing that's kept me addicted to this game for time. And I mean for years. What is it now? 6 years, and I've played it since the beginning, and I've worked in it for almost 3 at this point. So
it's crazy to see though, like you said, the Frost being played consistently by like Chalet. He is definitely just trying to do his best to welcome them into the map as possible. A lot of snow on the shoes, got to wipe them off. I understand. You don't want them just hopping in windows, messing up the rooms, because this is a nice chalet.
I want a skin for the welcome mats now that just says wipe your paws.
Right. Just a little dog popper, yeah. That would be great.
Oh my
Absolutely
goodness.
needed. I mean, that's what it comes down to is, again, slowing the entry. A lot of this entry into this map is from the outside of the, I mean, for every map, it's outside of the building, but you're spending a lot of time.
Great analysis, Stefan.
Right,
Gosh.
right. They have to come in from the outside. They don't spawn on the inside, so there is that. But I just mean that you see a lot of late game entry from the outside, whereas it's like almost a little bit more like consulate in that regard, where you're spending a lot of time doing work from outside or rotating outside to rotate around rather than rotating through a lot of the choke points inside. So because of that, it's like, okay, we'll take control of library, but then a lot of the work has to be done from other entry points because of the way the choke points work on this map at the angles and the way the defense is able to fall back in certain areas, the way they've controlled, for example, the top of those stairs by library pretty much every round for both teams. Stuff like that makes it so hard. You have to do stuff like this to try and make some work happen, try and find some angles from the inside, and really that comes down to the defenders exposing themselves, which they're not doing consistently in this, which is why attackers are struggling to make those early picks, because if defenders say, okay, you want to hang out outside all day, it's cold out there, I'm staying in here, like, I'm going to hide as much as possible, I'm going to pull back from shields.
We got the fire going. I mean, you know.
There you go, nice and warm.
Yeah, nice and toasty,
That's why
man.
you bring Goyo, so you don't get cold on this map.
Yeah, and you know, just like anything, you go to your rich friend's chalet and let them, you know, ramp up the heat
And
bill.
bring your guns and shoot everything up.
Exactly. Hey, you know.
I'm going to do some remodeling for you while you're up. This is the worst Airbnb I've ever been to.
Why are there just holes everywhere? It just looks like there was a SWAT
Ventilation.
team in here.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, you want to get the heat to go throughout the house, and that's all of these walls are just preventing that.
Right,
so.
Thermite's here to just cool things out.
Exactly. Well, guys, I mean, I really wish we had more to talk about.
Whoa.
Thank you, Razor. We really appreciate that. Merc will go down
Helping
here.
us
That's going to
out.
be a pretty solid pick inside of this round. Although TSM have actually been able to hold on to all of Library once again, and Geo will be in tow at the top of blue to try and assist. He's going to take down NVK, who has a pretty serious oversight, but now Razor.
here we go. He knows
no,
this
it's a
time.
very serious fight, and Bolo, he just goes to the wayside, doesn't really have any understanding of what's going on there as he practically spawns inside of Library. XSET, though, they're up on man count, although TSM still have some opportunity to try and fight back. Not through traditional means, though. It's going to be all down to the gunplay and what they can possibly do on this entry here from XSET. They seriously need some kills to make this round go their way, because oversighting this plant will be pretty straightforward for them given the situation. So TSM really needs to get this initial pick and force them into that dire moment where someone has to plant and someone has to oversee it.
Well, the one advantage they have is Achieve has already used this C4, so they're at least an advantage in that sense, plus Razor getting that kill on Chaw. Down to Achieve. This looks very familiar. Here we go. Is he going to pull off the clutch this time?
It's so very close. Achieved up close and personal. And oh, creators! He's just scared, folks. And why wouldn't you be? Achieved with 20 kills here on Chalet. And what a clutch moment from Barstock. I mean, what else do you want, XSET? You know where he is. Just kill the guy. And they can't even achieve that. It's 7-6 in favor of TSM FTX.
Well, at least this time Razor checked around the other side of that bookshelf.
Yeah, right? I mean, very scary situation there as well,
Right.
especially given the character that Bolo's playing.
Right.
That vector's really nothing you ever want to play with inside of close
Especially,
quarters.
Yeah, close quarters. It's
Oh.
like the entire mag's in your body before you even blink.
Yeah, you peek and you're like, why am I dead?
Right,
You know what I mean?
He
It's
just clicked.
it's like dueling the SMG-11. Sometimes you just
Right.
get laid out. And it's like, okay, well.
Before you even hear the first bullet hit, you're already like, oh, I guess kill cam. Okay.
Oh, this is cool. I didn't know that everything just went grayscale when you shot the SMG. Oh, I'm dead. That's
Right. I love every time that Merc dies. It's like Achieve just shoves his body out of the way and says, "I'll take this."
It's
You know what I mean?
actually,
Just like, get out of here,
It's
Merc.
actually insane the amount of kills that Achieved has right
Absolutely.
now. Now, I want you guys to think about this. Just ponder for a second. Filthy and Creators both have 11 kills, right?
Yeah.
And we have been watching. They've had a great game thus far. Achieved has the exact same amount of kills as them combined.
Right.
22 frags, folks. And here's the thing. If XSET continue on this and they're able to win this round, Achieved gets some more kills, we're in the territory of him taking the most kills inside of one map.
He's working for that record. You know what I mean?
I believe it's 26 or 27, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I remember when it was set that one time by Rampy on Coastline with like
Mm-hmm.
26 on a round or on a match that they drew.
Yeah. I mean, before that, wasn't it an EU talent?
I think
it was
so.
Pengu?
I think it was Pengu.
Didn't
at the
Pengu do
time.
it on Villa, and then Paula took it?
Yeah.
So, or Palu rather. So.
Yeah, it's Achieve is certainly working for it. I don't think he wants to be. I think this is an involuntary series of clutch attempts.
No, this is a fine, I'll do it myself situation.
Right,
Right. That's exactly what it is.
It feels like how we saw Skies sometimes when SSG was struggling on some of those rounds earlier, where he's just like, okay, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, Batman left Robin at home, and he's just out beating the crap out of all of the villains in Gotham right now.
The new, more dark Batman.
Exactly.
Be afraid.
Oh man, you guys have seen what Batman actually does. He doesn't.
Right.
Obviously, he doesn't kill anybody, but he just like seriously maims them. So.
His new look is a gas mask thing.
Exactly. We're about a minute in here now. As Achieve is going to take some serious damage, I believe, from that impact from underneath.
Yeah,
and this is going to be some serious assistance for XSET inside of this one.
It was a good play.
Oh, no way!
Don't fight Achieve through the beams in the floor. You will lose. Guaranteed. He is just like the bullets, they just rain from the rafters and you die.
I mean, that's the thing, is when it comes to vertical play and trying to fight back against it in Siege, it is a winnable fight. But most of the time, they don't go your way. It's a very difficult gunfight to go back and forth, especially with how those beams play.
Sledgemains just practice it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially with, Achieved has been using this character for, years at this point. Achieved with Buck as well as Sledge is just a hallmark thing of Rainbow Six. And to see him finding more influence inside of this game, it's almost expected at this point. Also, pretty cool update with the Twitch drones. They have endless distance now, so they don't have to move up and
like the old like the Maestro cam.
Yeah.
Shooting people at spawn kind of thing.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Oh, MVK, he's going to take some serious damage, and he really hasn't had too much to say inside of this game. 4-11, but he needs to make a serious stance up here. Prod will be able to take down Achieved, and that's going to obviously assist them quite a bit. We're looking to the rest of TSM to try and get this round and win this 8-6.
I'm looking at Gio and Bolo do something here. It's all on Merc, and he hasn't been picking up. Bolo, there we go. Good start, uses that LMG to good effect, gets 2 with it, probably before he even needs to think about reloading. Still 60 bullets left in the mag. It is a death machine. There we go, a nice little hide again from NVK this time onto Merc. Again, not doing a whole lot with Twitch, unfortunately.
Oh, no! NVK, he gets taken down upstairs, and Prod, he'll fall as well. XSET, they have the opportunity to take the map away from TSM, but all they can do is guarantee a singular point. It's 8-6 in favor of TSM FTX after Achieved has to go completely nucleosis with 23 frags in order to win Chalet.
I would definitely invest in one of those like back stretchers, I think, at this point for Achieve.
I mean, dude, you might as well, I would usually say a backpack, but you might as well get a duffel bag at this point. You got to carry the whole team in that thing, man. Yeah, and luckily enough, Gio Bolo was kind of small. You can really shove them into that one corner and then just fit everybody else. So, it's going to work out. But either way, TSM with a great game and a hell of a comeback on that one. It was looking pretty scary for a moment.
I got to say, though, fantastic play from XSET. This is one of the best we've seen them. And I think they're showing that they do not want to be relegated. They have the potential to fight their way out of it. They may have lost this, but they made it to overtime.
Yes.
That is good for them, that they at least get that point, right? This is not the worst situation to be in, but they're still facing potential relegation. That's not enough to dig them out of the hole, but that's enough to show that they can potentially do it. And you know what? Even if you can potentially do it and they still have been in relegation, that's a better spot to be in when you're fighting for that relegation against a Challenger League team.
Yeah, absolutely. When you are the bottom team as well, it's fight or flight. And we saw today for XSET, it is indeed fight. That makes me very excited for tomorrow as well to see what they can possibly muster because, seriously, obviously, guys, we want to keep everybody inside of the NAL, but, you have that choice. It's up to you. You're the ones that have to fight to stay in it. We're just excited to see how it all breaks down. But as you said, XSET, they're right on the cusp of having to play against the Challenger League team.
It definitely looks like TSM as well are still trying to figure some things out, right? Especially the Merc situation. We've got a situation where he's still trying to get back his groove, and he doesn't seem to have it so much. If Achieved, if he wasn't there, honestly, if Achieved wasn't popping off, that would have been an XSET win, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for Emzo and I on the desk for this one. We're going to send you to a short break, and when we get back, there will be an analyst desk to break all of this down. We'll see you soon.
take to call next? Follow us for a deep dive into the Rainbow Six community, breaking down barriers, taking you behind the scenes, and showing what it means to level up.
If you want to get better, try reviewing your game footage. Insights.gg's game capture tool makes recording and reviewing fast and easy. With no lag, automatic recording, and instant highlights, it's never been easier to learn from your gameplay. Try it for free at insights.gg today.
Schedule, and we'll see you after those 10 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Up and coming, we have a very exciting 10-minute break for you since we are so very ahead of schedule, and we'll see you after those 10 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Up and coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're going to win all the way. TSM versus XSET. They didn't fail to deliver. They went to overtime, and TSM pulled it out in overtime. And fellas, it was a great match. Jesse and Jacob, you're joining me here on the desk. What are your thoughts about this game?
It looked like the tale of XSET was going to continue. Another potential upset victory, another game going the full distance. We saw them do this against Dark Zero on Villa only a couple of weeks ago. Not to be here. TSM FTX rocking finally. Those three letters in their name are going to be able to pick the win up in pretty good fashion over XSET despite a couple of very early stumbles. We saw a 4-0 scoreline at one point in this game. They brought it back to a 4-4, and I told everybody in the green room, I was like, hey, they can come back if it's a 4-2, and they absolutely did.
Yeah, a long time to play this matchup, and we kind of ended with a result that I don't think anybody's going to be super happy with. I mean, I think TSM could have played that a lot better. They could have finished this with 3 points if they had played a little bit stronger in the early game. And for XSET, 1 point, it's just not good enough. That's not going to get them out of dead last place. They have to rely on getting points out of Space Station Gaming tomorrow if they don't want to get relegated.
In such a close game, TSM FTX, they pull ahead with 2 rounds to win 8-6 on Chalet, and look at the stats achieved. He tore it up. The man was on fire. 23 kills, 7 deaths, and just perfect when it came to opening engagements. But take a look on the side of XSET, fellas. I mean, yes, they lost, and usually we'd have something to say, but the fellas, they put up in a big way. Razor with 13 kills, Jesse.
Yeah.
I'm really loving what we're seeing from this pickup.
Razor had a lot of fun this game. It started off on defense, running around with the roam and really making TSM look like a bunch of amateurs. And when they switched sides, he was, I think, a little quieter, but still had some really big moments. And some smaller moments as well where he lost a couple of 1v1s that he really wish he hadn't. But I think Razor had a fantastic game. And he's that young gunner on this team that has to step up and do those things. So glad to see him popping off.
Right.
I'm looking at Achieve with 23 kills, by the way. Do you guys remember what the original NAL kill record was for this stage?
Talk to us, Jacob.
I do believe it was somewhere in the range of, 22. Now we have a new kill leader for specifically this year in the North American League. So Achieved has now climbed the mountain and he's on top of everybody else. But it didn't really seem like he was going that insane. It was more like he just plays vertical and does his job. Like he was capitalizing off TSM, having everyone in XSET in very uncomfortable positions all across the map. And it looks as though everyone on, on TSM's side, Merc, Bolo, Geo, Chalet, didn't have to do nearly as much, but there's still some pretty impressive stat lines on TSM FTX's side.
Right, Jesse, before the match started, you spoke to us about how you had a conversation with Drew, and even though Rainbow Six is a game of strategy, it looked like their strategy of picking their side first was actually really smart.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, and the reason why Drew wants to start, or wants to choose the starting side rather than the map, the reason why he wants to ban first in that map ban phase is so that his team can get off to a good start. And you'll see this consistently. If you go back and look at the results for XSET, they often do go up early in those games, and that's a position they like to play from. Unfortunately, today it wasn't enough, right? They lost that momentum, and they did an okay job fighting it back. I think they still played good to the very end of that game, right? They weren't falling apart, but in the end, TSM were too good of a team to really pull it all the way. But still, going up early, that starting side is the big reason why XSET are able to do so. And, you know, it's a mind game. It's something that more teams maybe should be looking into because XSET have kind of gone off the beaten path here, and they found some relative success with it.
I'll take a team that goes 8-6 against a pretty prominent opponent over a team that gets 7-1 or 7-2 any day of the week. There is improvement XSET has shown day in and day out. And yeah, you're going to be kicking yourself for not getting that last round when it was 6-5. You will be like, yeah, we could have had 3 points. End of the day, there are still some things to look at for this team that are going to help in the improvement game, and there was at least 1 point gathered. Anything helps XSET right now.
It was such a good game. But ladies and gentlemen, us on the desk, we have a treat, and you at home, you're going to love this as well. We actually have an interview with the one and only Pojo Man from TSM FTX. And if you guys know him, you're really going to enjoy this. Pojo, it is great to see you. And I have to ask, off top, what is it like as a coach to you to see a player like Achieve pop off and go crazy like that? 23 kills and setting a kill record this year for the NAL. It must have really sparked the team for that comeback, right?
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have won that game if Matt wasn't going absolutely nuke. Everybody contributes, but he was, you know, I think everybody on our team can go absolutely crazy any day of the week. Today was Matt, and he carried us through that one. He was going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Poj, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit because this game started off not amazing, right? 4 rounds down in the first 4, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that. What was it like trying to play against guys like Razor on the roam that were really kind of running all over you? You couldn't find a way to pin them down. What did you guys need to do to turn some of those rounds into your favor and get that regulation time win rather than what you got?
Our main problem wasn't really the roamers per se. It was kind of just when we got into it, there was just a guy holding an angle on every spot, and we might not have droned that far, and like we would get to that window and we get picked off, and then that's how they would get a lot of their early picks. So we'd lose 2 people. You have a 3v4, 3v5 at that point. It's really tough to bring it back. We did a few times we got really close to bringing it back, but overall it was just sloppy early on from us, and I'm glad we were able to bring it back.
Talk a little bit about the future, because you guys are not 100% a lock for the Sweden Major. You're obviously still on top 4. 12 points now is a good lead on a couple of other teams within the bottom 5. But you guys have Mirage coming up for the final play day for tomorrow. Is there anything in particular that you're going to be looking to focus on for that matchup? Anything you might want to say to Mirage to be like, yeah, this is how we're going to close our stage out, and make sure that you guys can actually confirm yet another major appearance for TSM FTX?
We're just mainly going to focus on ourselves. I think that's the only thing that held us back on that game. Like, we had like a 5v2, 4v2 on a basement wine, and like we should have just easily won that, and we kind of just gave them the opportunity. So we'll just focus on tightening that up, and I think we'll just do just fine. And to Mirage, I think they're a great team, but I think we'll probably come out on top.
Now, Pojo, you've been in the scene for a very long time, so I'm going to leave the floor to you to share any memories of kicks that you might have, and also to say thank you to the fans out there that continuously support TSM FTX.
Kicks' passing is really hard for me. I've known him for like 6 years. I don't even know what to say. All I remember, the biggest thing that always pops up to me is holding his hair back in Poland when the first time he was probably drinking. He was having a good time. So I never thought I'd have to do that, and I had to hold his hair back, and yeah. And then I think Vets to Vets carried him home that night. So that was a good time.
That's a lot of hair you got to pull back, Pojo. We thank you for that, man. And also, congratulations for the win. Tell the boys, hey, we send our congrats as well. You have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow, all right, man?
All right, thanks a lot.
No problem. Take it easy. So, fellas, to talk more about the game at hand, Jacob, so for the people that don't know at home, we were sitting down on the couch watching it on the big screen.
Yeah.
And there was a play in particular, man, when Merc went crazy, and it kind of gave TSM a big spark for that comeback. What am I talking about right now?
We're talking about a very particular 1v2, and this is Merc on a kitchen defense playing smoke. Hasn't touched it nearly as much as he has back in Stage 2, but seeing Merc on an SMG-11 is always a nice thing to see. But that was, like you mentioned, kind of a thing that sparked the rest of TSM's comeback. This ends up being a round where TSM get a 4-4 tie. Watch Merc. He's just going to peek over. He's got a fine razor. Boop! Practically one bullet. That's all required. He's over here. He's fist bumping immediately after getting that frag. And that's what ties us back up, 4-4. It was 4-0 XSET at one point, and that's where we were concerned that, you know, what's the win condition for TSM or for XSET? Do they need to win 5 or 6 rounds? I thought it was 6. If it was a 6-0 half, I very much doubt that TSM can find a way to claw it back. But because of the efforts of Merc, and then later on what Achieve did for the rest of that match, it turns into a TSM victory. Even if it comes at the expense of 1 point, if it couldn't happen in regulation, it's still pretty impactful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to not hype up Merc because that was a nuts shot, but like, that's the type of round that you expect XSET to be winning. And what I mean by that is we had 2 4-0 streaks, right? We had XSET getting 4 wins in a row, and then we had TSM getting 4 wins in a row. But XSET looked more dominant in their first 4 than TSM ever did. As Pojo mentioned, they were walking into angles, they were being sloppy in their droning. XSET were always winning in those early engagements, and so the rest of the round was just too hard to claw back for TSM. When they went on their 4-round streak, TSM had to fight tooth and nail for every single one of those rounds. We saw 1v1s, 1v2s, big individual moments that got them to that finish line, and it just seemed easier for XSET, at least at the start. So, I mean, big plays, we love to see that, but I want to see TSM closing these rounds out more often and quicker against the bottom teams in the league.
Honestly, I want the same thing for XSET.
I was going to say that.
I was going to say, we're looking at an XSET team that, yeah, they will look at the way that they lost round 12 and be like, that was the thing. We were going to get 3 points we'd be safe from relegations. If you're going to go for the kind of post-plant potential that XSET does, 5-man alive, you're trying to get the diffuser down, everything you possibly can to win the round in the last 30 seconds, which they were doing consistently, you got to find a way to close. So many of those were like, I understand the execute. Are we watching 2017 Vitality? What is this strategy? And more often than not, it seemed like they had a game plan going in, but then something gets disgruntled and then they can't get the diffuser down, and that's where everything systematically falls apart. So everything you just said about TSM, let's see XSET do the exact same thing and see if they can get out of the hole.
A part of us really wanted XSET to pull out that win because we've been watching XSET really.
100%.
XSET, let's be honest, they've been in the trenches, but this team has been looking so much better lately, and hopefully they can continue to do so. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you now, if you do not follow our social pages, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You need to make sure you go ahead and follow us on Twitter because we had a community poll, and here it is. Now, who is the king of bad or dad jokes? Is it Imzo or Intero? And Jesse, Your guess is as good as mine. Who are you leaning on?
I love Intero as much as the next guy, but this is Emzo we're talking about. He is the dad joke king, so it's got to be Emzo. Anybody who knows what they're talking about picked Emzo.
Yes.
You always know the quality of someone's dad jokes by the pants that they wear, and that's always been Emzo's trademark. Just the only person who could ever rock what he does is someone who's 37 or above, and he fits that category perfectly. It's got to be Devin.
It's going to be dad pants or Intero. Well, you at home, you actually chose Intero with a 59% victory. Emzo came back, but he just couldn't win the poll,
Emzo's
man.
return. What is Twitter doing?
Yo, what are y'all doing, man? Go for the man Emzo. He's been away for so long, but
I'm gonna revert this poll. Give Emzo the dub.
Emzo
It doesn't
wins.
matter.
Yeah, the poll doesn't
what
matter.
Twitter
Emzo
says
wins.
doesn't matter.
This is not a democracy.
Exactly. But ladies
love
and
the
gentlemen,
Republic.
coming up next, we actually have a really good matchup now. If you guys thought that XSET almost beating out TSM was incredible, you might like this one. It's going to be Mirage, versus Sonics. Don't go anywhere because we'll see you on the other side of the break.